It's laughable at how wrong some of the driver reviews have been in the past, especially when some of these so-called game changers cost almost $400 even back then. The big question in 2024 is which drivers with raving reviews right now will potentially be the new laughingstock in a decade. So let's take a look at some of the biggest flops in the golf industry and what people had to say about them when they were first initially released. And ultimately what I'm trying to show you is that anyone that says this is the best driver of the year is basically guessing. Not to mention if you're a blogger, a YouTuber, influencer, you're having to rate and review a whole lineup of brand new drivers, and let's be honest, a relatively short amount of time, solely based on your swing, and then project your feedback and findings to thousands of golfers with very different swings. And hindsight's a wonderful thing. That's why I want to show you some of these game-changing drivers that you literally can't give away now, and drivers that flew under the radar but worked for the everyday golfer and sell for more money than some newer counterparts just because the manufacturer got it right. Now, this isn't a witch hunt, and for the same reason why I don't review brand new equipment now, because well, I'll just be guessing as well. But instead, take 5 different reviews from 5 different websites on the best and worst drivers and judging it against what we know now and what they said then. With the main hope, if you're thinking about buying a new driver, go and test it for yourself and see if it works for you. And any reviews that you see online, just take them with, well, a pinch of salt. Let's start with 2 of my absolute favourites, the square driver era. Firstly, have you ever seen a driver review over the years that doesn't get less than 4-star rating? Today's Golf is where we're starting, and it has a good comment section at the bottom as well. As I said, it's so interesting people's feedback and that placebo effect when it first comes out versus the years down the line. Again, one of the reasons why this driver is one of the worst is it sounds horrendous. And it spins so, you might as well just have a 7-wood in your bag. Like this review here, this is back in 2014. The ball goes straight, but really goes nowhere. Again, it's just down to the spin. It would have spun at like 3,500, 4,000, no matter what you did to the thing. Not what it says on the tin. Tin being the sound it makes impact. This was a very classic example here back in 2007. Yes, 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 yes. And this is what I said at the start. If it works for you, great. I wouldn't recommend this driver because for me, it'd be a risky option saying go and get this. But these kind of comments is why golf's so good. Everyone's swing is different. This driver here, which by the way, I'll show you a price listing for it here on the right-hand side, basically given away, if you can find one. From one square driver to another, the Hacker's Paradise. Talking about the Callaway FT. Again, look at that there, $400. I think it's got a price here that it retailed at. No, hang on, $500. I stand corrected. That is a lot of money. I'll just show you the price for this one right now because again, basically given away. This one really made me laugh where it says all 4 golfers that struggled with a fade or slice were in heaven. And yes, this was more offset, like you can see the head here, the way it sits on the ground. Again, it's more to do with the fact the amount of backspin these things produce. Here's another really good point. After removing it from the box, I once again reminded myself that pictures do not do this club's justice. I can guarantee you the pictures definitely do it justice. It looks horrible in pictures. It looks even worse when it's in your hands. Here's where it gets really interesting. And the good thing with My Golf Spy is that they ranked all the drivers in 2016. I think they've done this for a very long time. And fair play to them. It's the only website. I could have done this whole thing based on My Golf Spy, but I didn't want to single anyone out and more highlight the fact that no one really knows, even when you're going in-depth data. Like when we're looking through the blog post here from My Golf Spy, 120 hours research, 7,500 shots hit, and they still got it wrong. And when I say still got it wrong, it's more of a case of trying to do a one-fits-all thing for every golfer out there just doesn't work. For example, ranked number 1 was the TaylorMade M1. This thing was so low spinning. This is more advanced than the SLDR. People struggle to hit this up in the air unless you swing at 100 miles an hour. That's plain simple. But if you went on this website and you just went, rank number 1, tailor-made M1, perfect, right, I'm gonna go and buy that. Or I'm just gonna go and get fitted for that. Try the M1, get it in my shaft, off you go. Again, rank 2, so low spinning. Again, rank number 3, which I was very surprised with, Cobra King F6. And then what I wanted to see, that right there is definitely number 1. And I'll show you the prices for that up here on the right-hand side, because to be honest, this here is more expensive now than the one that came out 2 years later, which got ranked almost number 1 by everyone. How does that work? Again, rank 5 for the Ping G series. I would have gone, I probably would have gone Forgiveness G series number 1, M2, more like all-rounder. I would say, knowing what I know now, and again, both of these drivers, £100, £120, good option if you're looking for either of those categories. But then they obviously do the driver data. And again, fair play to My Golf Spy. They're the only ones that go this far in depth and obviously get a pool of players. But there is a problem with that pool of players, which again, I'll show you in a minute. XR16, great forgiving driver at 915. Again, for a lot of you, I'd be ranking these at like 1, 2, and 3, not these long drive ball machines. But this was the era of distance is everything. And now in 2024, we're somewhat coming to the realm of maybe I do want to hit it out the toe and it not nosedive out the air. Something that made me laugh a lot is the Cobra King LTD, which came all the way down the bottom here. And famously, that's the one that obviously Bryson put back in the bag and then it shot up in price. Everyone wanted it. And again, it's this farce of, oh, someone else is using it, doing really well, winning PGA Tour events. Let me put that in my bag. Interestingly, there was a link with the My Golf Spy website, how they do their tests. And again, this is 2015, might have changed to be fair. However, one thing that did seem somewhat alarming is that the handicap range for these tests was +3 to 16 handicap, which now kind of makes sense why this list is the way it is. I appreciate 16 handicaps have varying abilities, but that's still a good swing. You're probably not coming over the top a lot. The next one, let's talk about the reviews that I personally got sucked into. This was my first ever driver that I bought back. Actually, my dad bought it for me when I was 17, when I was just getting into the game of golf. I saw this, saw the reviews. It wasn't as expensive as the other models. I think the Ping Rapture was out at that time. That was like super expensive. But again, my point being is that there was a lot of experimenting at this time, and I don't think we're going to see that same level of experimenting nowadays, even though we are now talking about different materials on the face. This thing was loud, it was spinny, very similar to the square driver phenomenon that was obviously taking over the time, and this wasn't a good driver. Forgiving, yes, because it spun a lot, and that's basically all it did. Very loud sounding, and I even paired this up with, I think, the Nike resin ball, if any of you guys can remember that. Absolute rock. I got some funny looks on the golf course, and again, this next to nothing, because over the years, the new drivers came out, the ones that were pushing, obviously that low spin, high launch, was going 30, 40 yards further on the good shot. Okay, enough slagging off professional reviewers, time to slag off you guys. What's the best driver of 2018? This was your guys' choices. So Golf WRX basically did a poll of their members testing equipment. What do they think? And you'll be shocked at the one that came number 1, because it's actually very cheap. TaylorMade M, again, this is all about distance. 3% of you hit one decent shot with that. Let's be honest. I can't even hit that. Do you know what I mean? That was so low spinning. 440, tour head, yes. This I can see being higher, 917, D2, should have been a lot higher, I should say. I kind of get over it, but it was not the best looking. They were getting through it. M6, much better choice, virtually the same price. This should have been number 1. Close to number 1. 7.34% for the Rogue. Forgiving, no adjustable weighting, weight at the back, looks good. Good shafts, adjustability. TaylorMade M3 definitely should have been anywhere near the top. More like it. Number 1, best driver. This is why I say all of this is a farce. G400 Max. That's why the 10Ks come out this year. This is like 300-400 total MOI less than the 10K. Hence why this thing still goes for so much money, because people put it into their bag, they love it, they test it. it does what it says on the tin. It doesn't spin the ball super high, but it has so much forgiveness, good ball speed, arguably still the best driver that's ever come out. But it wasn't number one. The LST got more percent than this. You guys are wrong, you're twisted. But again, I can see why. If you're at the range hitting balls, goes further, of course you're gonna think that's better. This is just a catastrophe. Rogue Sub-Zero. 13.82%. The Rogue I can get behind. The Rogue Draw I can get behind. The Sub-Zero, what is it with people's fascination and having the low spin head? Because if you walked up and down your golf club and looked through people's bags, they're not using Sub-Zeros. But if I looked at this and I've just started the game, maybe I need a Sub-Zero. Maybe I need an LST. You don't. Getting your angle attack right, getting your swing path right, finding the middle, that reduces a lot of spin. These heads are just unforgiving and potentially can drop your spin by 300. But if you spin your driver already above 3,000, 3,500, 4,000, these low spin heads aren't going to do anything. Guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video. Did I miss any drivers out? Have you got some of these drivers that you love? If you've got any questions on your bag or game, sasgolfacademy.com.